Donna's World. Hello everyone, welcome to Donna's World. Thank God it's Friday. Okay, so I just had a quick look at last week's video to remind myself of what I said. And I can't get over how awful I looked. I could hardly speak. I remember I could hardly stand up and my brain was completely fogged up. And so, actually, I forgot to thank two girlfriends who have provided the outfits I've worn in the past two episodes of Thank God It's Friday. 2 weeks ago, I was wearing a sort of yellow and green tie and dye fabric, which was gifted me by a wonderful friend called Iyabo. And I got the fabric and then I got a tailor to sew a kaftan for me, or a bubu, as we sometimes call the more voluminous versions of kaftans. And then last week, fabric was donated by another girlfriend called Ijoma, who's also lovely. And I just want to thank both of you ladies for helping me expand my wardrobe, which is very limited because of my weight issues. I can't really wear, I don't have many choices around clothes. So the easiest thing for me at this size is actually to get the fabric and then to have a tailor make something for me. And then I don't have to go to shops rummaging around looking for something that fits, There's hardly anything that fits women of my size in the ready-made market or shop, shops that sell ready-made clothes. Anyway, but that's another issue for another day. Just want to, I'll talk about this whole trans issue that I touched on last week when it comes round to viewers' voices, which will happen at the end of this program. But for now, I'm going to mention something that is relevant to both my Friday show and my Wednesday show, which is called Kick-Ass and Wellness Wednesday, and it's all about improving my mental and physical health. Okay? So I talked a couple of days ago about constantly sabotaging myself and being self-destructive because, going 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and basically either always more or less staying in the same bad situation or only improving slightly, And we all have it within us. We all have the power to change our lives dramatically, especially if we're fortunate enough to be, in good health. And when I say in good health, what I mean is not ill, okay? So I want to mention, I think I've mentioned this book before, but I never actually got around to reading all of it and summarizing it for you. And it's called The Mountain Is You. That's what the cover looks like. And the strapline is Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery. And it's by a lady called Brianna Wiest. And it is described as the ultimate seeker's guide for those brave enough to face their true north and take their power back. Now, strictly speaking, self-sabotage, self-destructiveness is probably a topic you would expect me to talk about on a Wednesday, which is all about wellness, mental wellness, physical wellness, But I just think that it cuts across every aspect of our lives. It cuts across the way we manage our careers, our relationships, our families. So it's not just about health, it's about everything. Some of us have got this fatal tendency to do things that will make our lives worse on every level. Well, let's not exaggerate. I mean, there's some ways in which I am in control and some ways in which I do the right thing all the time. I mean, like I am fanatically tidy. My sister thinks I suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder. I don't. I'm just very tidy. I've got a very orderly mind and my environment reflects that. If you come to where I live here and in the UK, everything is in order, you know. And so I'm proud of that, because a lot of people have very messy homes, and I disapprove of messiness. And so, you know, there are parts of my life in which I am in control and I'm doing things the right way. If you ask me to give you a document, like say something like, oh, where's your smallpox vaccination certificate from when you were 9 years old? I can tell you which cabinet it's in and which folder it's likely to be in. So that's a good quality, being well organized mentally and not tolerating chaos in your home or office environment. But I do have lots of other areas in which I can't keep it together properly. And so I started this book last year, The Mountain Is You, stopped after a couple of chapters, not because it wasn't good, not because I wasn't learning something valuable from it, but because part of my self-destructiveness, part of my tendency to sabotage myself, is to avoid things that will actually help me solve the problem. So, you know, you come across a book that gives you lots of light bulb moments where you think, yes, yes, oh, that's so true. And you recognize this book as something that can help you resolve lots of issues, from family conflict to whatever. And then you toss the book aside and don't go back to it for another 3 or 4 or 5 months. That's what I've done. But, you know, we're in 2025 now, and I am going to finish this book, and I am going to summarize it and share the contents with you. And if any of you feel like buying it, by the way, I do not know the author, Brianna, and I have not been asked to promote this book, and I'm not being paid to promote this book. I just think it's probably something that a lot of us should buy. You know, I've bought mine already. I have the online version, which I bought through Amazon. But I'm sure those of you who are lucky enough to be in countries where they have good bookshops can pick up hard copies if you prefer. And the reason why I think it's important for people, viewers of this channel, or some, not all, of course, to go and buy this book or other recommended books on self-sabotage or self-destruction. I mean, I'm not saying that this is the only good one. I'm sure there are lots of others. This is just the one I happened to come across, and it was recommended by a very respectable magazine that I read. I think may have been Good Housekeeping, can't remember. Anyway, so the reason I'm saying, look, let's all go out and buy this book or something similar is because I get so many messages from other women. They either contact me through YouTube, or more commonly actually through Messenger, which is more private, or through Facebook or other social media platforms. Some of them I know personally, so they contact me via WhatsApp. And the message is always the same. Is, oh my God, I saw the episode where you talked about losing a whole heap of weight in December and then putting it all back on again in January. Or, I know exactly what you mean when you talk about messing yourself up and putting obstacles in your own way. Apparently, it's quite a sort of common female characteristic, this whole self-destructiveness thing. And I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of men who are self-destructive, who are drug addicts or whatever. But women seem to be uniquely, they seem to specialize in this sort of like low level and yet very significant and harmful actions or non-actions that stop them from being the person, being as good as they could be in various areas of their lives. So I've already messed January up, which means that I'm already at 1 month behind with my New Year's resolutions. But, you know, February starts, I think, the day after tomorrow or tomorrow. And you know what? If we have no other mantra running through our heads, let it be that it's never too late to start something that will improve your life or the life of people around you, the lives of people around you. It doesn't have to be January the 1st. If you screw up on January the 1st, there's always February the 1st, or there's always tomorrow, or next Monday, or next Wednesday, you know? So let's all decide that this year we're going to be less self-destructive than we have been in the past. Avoid men who drive you crazy or underestimate you or treat you badly. There's so many ways in which women just sort of like generally get themselves stuck in self-defeating behavior. And I know some men watch this channel. So, it's not that I'm ignoring their problems. It's just that I understand female problems more. And it tends to be women who contact me anyway to say, oh my God, I totally agree with you. Oh yes, there's something you said last week that reminds me of myself or my sister or my mother. So this channel is for everybody, all age groups, all genders, including transgender, by the way, because I am liberal about that issue. Well, liberal for my age group and my culture. My son thinks I'm utterly, utterly old-fashioned, unacceptably so. But if you want to know what I think about the whole transgender thing, go back to last week's video, and it's all there. And now I'm going to move on to talking about this transgender thing. I'm moving on to Viewers' Voices, the part of the program where I go through some of the comments I have received from viewers who have kindly taken the trouble to respond to my comments and videos. For many people, that one issue about transgenderism was why they supported Trump totally or partially. And I asked you, my viewers, what your position was, because I'm kind of like a bit wishy-washy. I don't think that trying to change your body is a good idea, the body you were born with. But then I also don't want transgender people to be persecuted, insulted, or deprived of any legal, benefits, or medical benefits for that matter. But some people are on one extreme with Trump is that it's completely off the scale. It should not be tolerated in any way. And some people are completely at the other extreme, which is that anything goes. Whatever you want to be, you should be allowed to become. And it's entirely possible for a girl to become a boy and a boy to become a girl. So I asked you to tell me what you think. And I got an interesting letter from a woman called Brandy, Unz Gaming Channel. And she says she thinks I should educate myself further on gender topics. She says trans and non-binary people know since they are very young that they are not in the right body. So trust them. Then, in response to my concerns about children being allowed to tinker with their bodies at a young age, she says the only hormones children might get are puberty blockers. Children have no surgery of any sort. And she thinks that teens of certain ages can start hormones with approval. She also says that hormones do change trans women's bodies. According to studies, their bodies are changed to their detriment so that they become equal or lesser when they play sports with women. Because I think one of the points I made is that, if you're a guy who decides to become a girl, you're still stronger than someone who was born a girl and therefore should not be allowed to compete against a born girl in sporting events. So Brandy says, no, that's not the case. I'll take your word for it for now. And she says trans women are not dominating sports anywhere. Athletic organizations just need to check hormone levels to make sure all athletics are on a fair playing field. I will also say, as a gay woman, it can be frustrating to have people who are not gay express attitudes and opinions about gay people without understanding us. I imagine it's the same for trans and non-binary people. How weird for them that cis people, that's people like, people like me, talk about them and make decisions about them without understanding them at all. Brandy, I hear you. I think you made some perfectly valid points, and I'm not going to argue with you. It is annoying when people talk over your head and talk about you as if you're some kind of object who doesn't know their mind and has no brain, no soul. But like I said earlier, we can all agree to disagree on certain topics. So I'm sure that transgender people also have views about other things that other people don't agree with, not just about their sexuality or about their gender. You know, they're transgender people who are Democrats, they're transgender people who are Republicans. So we're all in this messy world together and we don't always agree with each other. But thank you for your comments. And then there's um, Janice Madeline Swift says, if you agree with Trump on this, you are wrong with him. Okay, well, look, I don't agree with Trump. I think he's too harsh. I may agree with him a little bit, but generally, no. And then there's Val, and Val says, who cares? Focus on the price of groceries. And why did he, that is Trump, allow big pharmaceutical companies to increase insulin from $35 back to $300 a vial? So Val doesn't think we should busy ourselves with people's sexuality or gender when there are more practical things to worry about. And she has a point because this is something I say to people all the time because black people tend on the whole to be very, very obsessed with this whole gay, transgender, anything. They're very, very, sort of religious. I mean, obviously there are exceptions to every rule. But when I'm in Nigeria at the moment, and I'm in London a lot too, and whenever I talk to black people, I'd say 80 or 90% of them are going on and on and on about this transgender issue, like they're the devil incarnate. And I just say, you know what? There are so few people who are transgender. It should not be a major obsession. You should mind your own business. You can have an opinion, but at the end of the day, to demonize them is completely wrong. And, I'm with Val about how we've got more practical things to worry about at the moment. I'm certainly very worried. My electricity bill here in Nigeria has gone up like 400% in the past year. And I'm struggling. So let's reconvene next Friday. And if you're interested in the self-improvement, health, mental and physical health stuff, I will also be available next Wednesday on Donny's World. Thank you very much.